Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Stokastic.com MLB Strategy Show. Man, let's shake off that shit from yesterday, huh? Postponement. Jake mentioned missed the Cleveland White Sox weather updates. Night was over at 8 p.m. Morning, fellas. Well, Jake, I'll do you one better. I ended up playing a dummy lineup for the early two-game slate across all of my entries because I thought it was 12:15 and not 12:05. Got done this show, jumped on a work call, and at 12:05 was like, all right, let me run the Sims, make sure we're good. Nope. And it didn't cash. So I'd like to forget about yesterday as well. Glad to have you guys here, though. Look, it's a new day. This is the final MLB strategy show, with me at least, until the All-Star break. We had the All-Star break Monday through Thursday. Of course, we'll have Saturday and Sunday live before locks, but the final strategy show Monday through Friday until next week. So a calendar week from now, I'll be back with you guys. Let's make it worthwhile. 15 game slates, or 15 games today. And I have a piece of spinach or something stuck in my tooth, so forgive me. And I'm going to get it right here. Probably the worst pitcher pricing we've ever seen from an individual player on DraftKings. This is going to drive me nuts. Is this unprofessional? I wish they would give me a gig on ESPN or something so I could do that. But yeah, there might be the worst possible, the worst pricing error all year from DraftKings, I think, is on this slate. This specific slate. Trip, Laffy's in his closet choosing his best backwards hat as we speak. You may think you've seen this one before, right? I wear this often. These are actually a nice brand. If you ever, like, certain hats don't fit me well, even snapbacks. Yeah, if you guys wear hats, forwards or backwards, you ever notice sometimes it flares too much on the sides, or you have like these horns kind of that pop? You got to find a brand that fits you best. I got the exact, my wife doesn't understand what I will buy the exact same hat like 18 times. Start wearing it out, new hat. Start wearing it out, new hat. That's how you do it. Aaron, I used to be a fitted guy. Big fan of the trucker style snapbacks though. Yeah. Anyway, glad to have you guys here. If you don't mind, take a single second this fine morning, atone for your sins, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. In all seriousness, goes a long way for me. I appreciate you guys for that. It helps a lot here on the channel, so thank you in advance. And of course, if you're listening or watching after the fact, leave a comment down below. Helps the algo, but also I like hearing from you guys. Eric, how does a hat not fit you well when you wear it back? Dude, anyone who has worn backwards hats knows exactly what I'm talking about. You can look like a giant goofball with hats. Like, I've bought hats online, tried them on, and they've just sat in my closet, and I never wore them again. Ben, when is the cutoff age for backwards hats? I don't believe in that stuff, man. I'll wear what I want until I think I can't anymore. 38 years old. I'm not wearing a fedora. I can tell you that much. You're not gonna catch me in a Jeff cap just because I'm almost 40. I think I look fine in it, and I'll wear it until the end of time. See, Aaron, I'm 48, still rocking backwards. Yeah, whatever, man. Why should there be an age? Why should there be an age cutoff on anything? I mean, I am also wearing a plain white t-shirt, only because they're comfortable, and I like them. Because it's sterile, and I like the taste. You know what I mean? Who cares? Who cares? Do what you like. Do what you like. There you go, Fisher. Live free. I'm 50 and can still wear it backwards. Society failed anyway. Bob, George Carlin has a great bit about backwards hats. Send it to me. Some of his stuff is good. Some of it is just a bullshit philosopher. I'm very iffy on George Carlin. But that's okay. He had some good stuff. And also kind of prophetic in a sense, right? A lot of stuff he said all the way back then is happening today. So I'll give him that. But other stuff, I'm like, all right, dude, I get it. You're a comedian philosopher. All right, should we get into some baseball today? I say we do. 15 games. 15 games to close out the work week. Some elite pitching options today. Now, I'm going to show you right now. You look at the top pitchers tool. There are a few guys that are just going to pop. Skubal is 12K against Seattle. They have a slate low 3.1 total. Right? You have Joe Ryan against Pittsburgh, 3.6 total. He's 10K. Paul Skeens, I have some concerns here that Paul Skeens is potentially, yeah, Bob, that's also very true. That's a great point. Paul Skeens, I'm worried that this pitch count may be, we saw this. Who do we see this with? Crochet, right? Remember Garrett Crochet leading up to, was it the deadline? Like they weren't really playing. Was it Garrett Crochet where they just, or was it 2 seasons ago? Either way, you guys know what I'm talking about, where they just totally nuked his pitch count. And I'm worried that you may see that with Skeens, right? Because phenomenal pitcher. We all know that, but he's very expensive. And his last 3 starts, 4 innings, 78 pitches, 5 innings, 5 very good, let's say clean scoreless innings. Maybe not clean 5 hits, but you get the point. Clean on the earned runs column. 88 pitches. Okay, fine. But then 5 scoreless, 10K innings last time out, 78 pitches. Are we witnessing a trend here where you're paying 10.5 for Skeens? Eric said Skeens K prop is still 6.5. Yeah, but I'm also not convinced that it shouldn't be. I'm not convinced it shouldn't be. Maybe I'm wrong here. I will say, I will tell you this much though. Even with that, the amount of uncertainty I have, even if it's a small amount at that price point, and Skeens is great, but I'd still rather just get to Skubal and Joe Ryan anyway. Steven, I'm well aware of that. That's what I'm saying. But you also see teams that will limit a guy down the stretch over the latter half of the season if they've got nothing to play for, right? And who knows? Do they offload Paul Skeens for a massive haul? Is it possible? I mean, whenever this stuff happens, it always works out the wrong way for the team that gets rid of the great player, right? Like how many times, I'm not saying not every time would be, hyperbolic, but you get my point. Like so many times you see these guys traded for this huge haul of prospects, and then so many of the prospects just never do anything. Honestly, as a Phillies fan, maybe I'm just jaded in this respect. I could just be fully wrong. The Phillies have actually had good luck in that regard. Like trade away prospects that were untradeable a year prior. We've seen it for guys like Cliff Lee, for Real Muto. A lot of times the Phillies will give away what seems like a massive haul for an established elite player. And then none of those guys that they traded away, nothing ever comes of them. Marlins have traded away so many phenomenal players, and they're still bad. They could have had an elite baseball team not so long ago. So yeah, it feels like that a lot, but not always. Anyway, I think we got a really, really good pitching slate. Eric says, I never played Joe the Blow Ryan. Why not, man? It's probably because, Eric, Marlins didn't just have Stanton. Marlins had Stanton, Jose Fernandez, who, you didn't trade him. He died in a boating accident. But they had Stanton. They had Christian Yelich at the time when he was fantastic. They had, what was that roster? Wasn't Real Muto on that roster as well? Like they had I remember D. Gordon at the time was very good in the leadoff spot. Ozuna, they had Marcell Ozuna on that same team. That was a good team. That was a good team. That was a damn good team. Let's say it should have been a good team. And it never materialized. Roy Halladay, another good example. Also a very strange, untimely death for Roy Halladay. God, we're getting morbid this morning. But yeah, dude, go look at some of the players the Marlins have had. It's crazy. Yes, he was Mike Stanton back then. All right, so obviously it's Friday. We'll have some fun with this show, but we'll get to the meat and potatoes, so to speak, as well. I think this is just my opinion. We will look at exposures as well. That at the top, Skubal and Ryan are the two best plays. You know, if you're just filtering by price point here in the top pitchers tool, Skubal and Joe Ryan are 1 and 3 as far as salary goes. To me, Skeens would be my odd man out. I can understand why some people are, I guess, somewhat trepidatious when it comes to a guy like Joe Ryan. But he's still a good pitcher, man. He still has great strikeout stuff. He's been fantastic at home. I mean, his K rate at home has to be, it's got to be close to 30%. If I had to guess, 28% K rate at home this year, maybe 30. Let me see. At home. Oh, sorry. I was wrong. 33.9. 33.9% K rate for Joe Ryan in over 50 innings pitched at home this year is wild. 3.19 xFIP, 6% walk rate, 0.89 home runs per 9 allowed. Nah, Joe Ryan's been sick at home. A lot of fly balls, but sub 30% hard contact. You don't have to love Joe Ryan here, but it's objectively a very good spot. It is a good spot for Joe Ryan. And if you look at Skubal, Steven says Mariners have a 122 WRC plus against lefties on the road. Well, I'll say this much. Take lefties or take lefties on the road. I mean, yes, if you want to say T-Mobile Park, all of that stuff, fine. I'll give you that, Steven. But there's also a couple of things that we should probably consider as well. One of those would be the fact that Tarek Skubal against righties has a 138 X ISO, an actual ISO of 100, a 234 WOBA, 264 X WOBA, and a 20% swinging strike rate against right-handed hitters this season. That is outrageous. Outrageous. 20% swinging strike rate against opposite-handed hitters. I mean, obviously, if you're a lefty, right? You know, if you're a lefty, you need to be good against right-handed hitters. There's no doubt about that, right? But that is an insane number. And if you want to talk about like home and road for the Mariners, I think that's fair. But also, Skubal has a 36% K rate and a 211 xFIP at home this year. So truly stupid numbers for Skubal at home. Let's see against lefty or against righties this year. What his whiff rate is on these pitches. So he's throwing four-seamer, sinker, and then that changeup a lot against righties. The changeup is dominant. Whiff percentage on the changeup is 30%. I mean, it's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Almost 50% whiffs per swing to righties on his changeup. And another thing to consider too, when you have a 16% whiff rate on your four-seamer, 12% on like these are just truly stupid numbers. Truly stupid numbers. 0.028 ISO on the changeup. It doesn't get any dumber than that in the sense of like ridiculously good. Steven, yeah, look, ownership's definitely going to be interesting. Skubal's going to be popular. I don't think he's going to be too popular. I think Joe Ryan is probably your best, I'm going to say it, not value play, but among this trio of 10K guys, he looks the best because unless you guys feel differently than I do, the 9K range feels like a total dead zone. Feels like a dead zone. Logan Webb is the type of guy that on any other slate, I would love him kind of as a contrarian pivot. No one's going to want to play Logan Webb against the Dodgers. But at the same time, this guy, at Oracle Park, like a very, very pitcher-friendly venue. He's been remarkably good at home this year. That's actually an interesting spot. But I don't love Carlos Rodon at 9,500 against the Cubs at Yankee Stadium on a hot day. Ranger Suarez against the Padres. I'd love to get to Ranger Suarez. The guy is amazing. But also against a team that really doesn't strike out, particularly against lefties. Padres have an 18% K rate against lefties. They haven't been great. They haven't had a ton of power. I could see this being one of those games where Suarez cruises, but also only has like 4 or 5 Ks, and I don't know if that's going to be enough. Another thing to concern yourselves with Suarez, last start. Now, he had gone 7+ innings in 5 straight, 6+ innings in... The funny thing is, remember that first start of the season where Suarez got blown up against Arizona? Because he was on the IL. He didn't make his first start until May. He gave up 7 runs in 3 innings. Following that, he has been like a top 5 pitcher in the entire league. He went 6+ innings in every other start. That was like 12 straight starts, 7+ in 7 of them. The only reason he only went 5 innings last game is because Phillies manager Rob Thompson said that he needed to give him a break after he'd been worked really hard recently. So he threw 80 pitches in 5 innings. He could have gone 7 again. But if you're looking to give him a little bit of a break, does that mean that we see that again this week going into the All-Star break? And he's because Thompson said he wanted to limit him to 85 pitches. Is that going to happen again? So that's why I think, one more time, Suarez probably doesn't fit the bill. Kodai Senga, another great pitcher at 9K, but what do you run into here? He doesn't have that. Great pitcher, like phenomenal pitcher. Might have the lowest ERA in the league this year. I don't know for certain, but it wouldn't surprise me. He probably does, right? Let me see. Not that we're using ERA as the gold standard, but I guess he's not qualified. How many innings is he throwing? But he would be if you took... Yeah, he's probably not, because wasn't he on the IL for a bit? For a while, right? And then coming back off of it, right? Yeah. I think... I was going to say twice, but yeah, he's been on the IL for the last month. So he doesn't qualify, but he's been amazing. Coming off the IL in this spot, doesn't have elite strikeout stuff despite being really good. Another spot I probably pass. So I think kind of the crown jewels up top are Skubal and Joe Ryan today. At least for me. Do you guys see it differently? Also some weather in Kansas City anyway, even if you like Senga. That game seems pretty bad. Let's see what we got in chat. Eric, also weather. Yep. Jake, I like me some Boyle today. Don't worry, fella. We're going to get there. We are going to get there. Eric, let's see what else. Everyone is going to play Burns as an SP2. I feel like SP1 will be decided by the price of your stack. Not going to be able to play Skubal with everything. No, Bob, but I will say on a 15-game slate, it's not going to be that hard. It won't be that hard. You know, if you look at the top stacks tool right here, and you look at top value, like you have some teams that have really nice top value scores with really high totals. So if there ever was a day that you were going to pay up for pitching, and another thing, you don't have to pay up for pitching and then pay up for 2 pitchers. We're going to talk about some cheap options. You'll be able to keep your pitcher salary below 20K. Granted, that's still a lot, but it's doable. Anyway, let's talk about the worst pricing error that DraftKings has had arguably all season. Chase Burns. You can say whatever the hell you want about, hey, you can't play Burns today. He's going to be chalky, right? Or like the guy got blown up in Boston. He only recorded 1 out. I'm going to tell you right now, none of that means anything. It's meaningless. Now, if you don't want to play him, don't play him. Makes no difference to me. But there is zero argument to be made that his price point is way off. That's not an argument. If the argument you want to say is chalk, fine. You cannot say that Chase Burns is not underpriced. He is absurdly underpriced. And I can tell you why. Number one, he has a 6.5K prop. Okay? He has a 2.5 earned run prop juiced to the under. The Reds are minus 250 favorites. The Colorado Rockies, you guys know they're bad, but I'm going to give you one that's even crazier. The Rockies this season, not only are they dead last in WRC plus away from Coors Field, no surprise, right? They have a 28% strikeout rate as a team on the road. Now, to put it in perspective, last year, the worst team as far as K rate on the road was the Mariners at 25%. And that's still bad collectively as a team. 28%. And they have the lowest walk rate in the entire league at 6%. Now you can say Chase Burns got smoked against Boston. He did. And guess what? Through 3 starts, he still has a 31% K rate. The 3 teams he's faced too. If we want to be objective about all of this, I really don't even need to make the argument. I already have. Regardless of what happens tonight, it's meaningless. He had to face the Yankees at Great American in his debut. He struck out like the first 8 batters he faced. 7 or whatever. Gave up 3, but still a perfectly good start. Then he had to face Boston and Fenway on a really hot day. He got crushed. Then he had to face the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park on another hot day, right? And ended up, he didn't get out of the 5th, 91 pitches, but only gave up 1 earned with 7 strikeouts. So all things considered, he has not had the easiest matchups in the easiest parks. It's not a great park today, but this is a miserable Rockies baseball team. And Chase Burns at the AAA level this season, or in the minors, had a 37% K rate, 5% walk rate. It's a wrong. I'm telling you, the price is wrong. Well, Happy Gilmore vibes there. But no, yeah, it's just play him or not. He is it's not debatable. $7,500 is absurd. 44.1 run implied total there too for the Rockies. Very low. Very low. This guy has great strikeout stuff. So yeah. Chase Burns is the best, point per dollar for sure pitching play on the slate. The fact, and by the way, if you're curious whether or not I'm just making stuff up, how does a guy at 7,500 have the 4th highest top 2 pitcher probability on a 15 game slate and is number 1 in value? That's insane. Insane. So we want to talk about Joe Boyle. I see. Go ahead, Eric. Poke some holes in Burns. So we want to talk about Joe Boyle, huh? I get it. Matter of fact, I think if you ended up playing lineups that had Joe Boyle and Chase Burns in the same lineup, that wouldn't be ridiculous at all. Not at all. Joe Boyle against Boston. Now, to be fair, the Chase Burns matchup is way better. Way better. But Joe Boyle has legitimate strikeout stuff. And this is the type of guy that wouldn't surprise you one bit, right? He's young. What is he, 25? Yeah, 25. There is a lot to like with a guy like Joe Boyle. There's no doubt about that. 2 seasons in Oakland. Now he's with Tampa, pitched only 10 innings. but it's hard not to have interest here as well. And now everything starts to come into focus. You have guys like Skubal, Ryan, Burns, and Boyle. Once you get beyond that, who do you start looking at? To me, I think you probably have small amounts of somebody like Max Scherzer. Strider looked bad early on, finished with 11 Ks. Max Scherzer is not Strider, obviously. Max Scherzer is not, he's 7K. It's actually a shame. It's funny, man. Like, one thing being a sports fan and doing this, and I would assume you guys all agree, to see kind of the deterioration of pitchers as the years go on, right? Like we do this every year. We follow these sports every year. And you see a guy like Max Scherzer, who at one point was the preeminent pitcher in baseball, the best pitcher in the league. And then it's like, oh, now he's 9,500. Now he's not. Now he's 7K flat, right? How much longer does he have? And you see that with so many of these guys. It's odd to see them age as we do. It's weird, man. It's weird. Some of them are still going strong, been in the league for quite some time, but you know, soon Scherzer will be out of the league and it'll just be kind of a memory. It's weird. But anyway, Lance McCullers at 6,600. Look, Lance McCullers is exactly what we think he is going into every start. He might strike out 10. He might give up 10. No idea. He's 2 games removed from another IL stint, right? And one of those was great. The other one was terrible. But at 6,600 against Texas, I can get behind that. Ryan Nelson's one of those guys who's been phenomenal lately. I just don't know if you want to go to Ryan Nelson when you have guys like Boyle and Burns at the same, actually cheaper price points. I feel like any other slate, Ryan Nelson might actually look great. But on a day like today, I'm not sure I want to get there. 4% ownership, slight positive leverage, 6% top 2 pitcher probability. You know, the thing with Nelson is I just still don't really buy into his strikeout upside. I still can't say with any near certainty that Ryan Nelson is just going to continue to do what he's been doing. Now, you can't say that about anybody, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, this is a guy with an 18.7% career strikeout rate, 21.8% K rate on the season. And then you look at recent starts, and it just feels like he's flying a little bit too close to the sun here. And I'm not sure how long it lasts. Could he keep going today against an Angels team that strikes out a lot? No doubt about it. They do have a 4.8 total, though. I don't think there's any reason to try and jam him there. Someone asked about Chris Flexen. That is all you. Zero interest in playing Chris Flexen in this spot against the Yankees. You know, you also, like, how many pitches is the guy going to, I'm not diving too deep into this, right? We're not going to do that. A ton of relief appearances this year. And he's very cheap, but I simply don't think you need to do that at all. At all. He's made what? 17 appearances? Yeah, 17 appearances out of the bullpen this year. This is just, no, I'm good. Most of these guys, like, you're not playing Severino, Ryan Bergert against Philly. I don't know. Unless you guys see pitchers that are down here that appeal to you, I'm out on most of these guys. 15-game slates always seem really hard, but and I'm not saying they're easy, but from a pitching perspective, it actually becomes easier to rule a lot of these guys out and just say, you know what, I'm not playing them. It's just easier to not play them. And by the way, the way that that our projections work, the first game of a doubleheader has to play before we update them. So the moment that Cleveland and White Sox game is concluded, we'll update. It's Gavin Williams and Jonathan Cannon tonight. Gavin Williams is probably decent against the White Sox at 7,900. I'd put him up there. I'd put him below Burns and Boyle, but I think he's pretty good today too. So with that in mind, knowing that you have Gavin Williams, assuming weather holds out on this one, then you've got a trio of guys in that 7K range. I don't really think you need to look all that deep anywhere else. Josh said Ranger Suarez tonight, phenomenal on the road. If you go back a little bit in the video or in the show, Josh, I did talk about him pretty extensively. Rob Thompson said last start that he wanted to limit him to 85 pitches in that game because he had seen a massive workload recently. We haven't seen any updates if he decided to lift that or not. The Padres also have a bottom 3K rate against lefties. So Ranger Suarez hasn't just been phenomenal on the road. He's been phenomenal everywhere. Again, he's legitimately been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball this season, right? If you took away that one home start where he got blown up, it was his first start of the season coming off the IL. If you took away that one, then you'd probably be looking at just very comparable numbers at home and on the road. You know? Because that's the only start where he's had any real trouble at home. He's good, but the strikeout stuff in this matchup concerns me, and the potential that his pitch count is limited along with Paul Skeens worries me, and I don't think you need to force it. So Scooble, Ryan, is there anyone you got? Okay, let me ask you this, and then we'll move on to stacks here. Harold, is Grant Holmes playable? Yes and no. I mean, yeah, he's playable because Grant Holmes is a good pitcher at 8,500, and it feels like he's oftentimes underpriced. He's a good pitcher. The reason I say no, though, is one, this matchup is never going to do you a ton of favors. It's the Cardinals are just the perennial thorn in the side type of team, right? They have the fourth lowest K rate against righties. They're never spectacular, but they're always hovering around league average, if not a little bit better. Yeah, they're 13th in WRC plus, they're 13th in WOBA against righties, and they're where are they? 21st in ISO, basically tied for 19th. But they barely ever strike out. They always put the ball in play. They have an 8.3% walk rate, which is around the middle of the league. And if you're playing Grant Holmes, what that means is that you end up not playing cheaper Joe Boyle's Chase Burns. I would even throw Gavin Williams into the mix, although he's not updated in the projections yet. So the question I wanted to ask you guys, are there any guys in the 8 and 9K range that you do really want to play? I'll sort this for you so you can see who we're talking about. Matthew Liberatore, Quinn Priester, Grant Holmes, Luis Castillo, Kodai Senga, Ranger Suarez, Carlos Rodon, Logan Webb. You have 8 guys in that range. See, to me, the 7K range doesn't look any worse as far as, just projecting these guys. And obviously they're not going to project for as many fantasy points as Webb. Burns actually might. Burns honestly might have like the 3rd or 4th highest projection of any pitcher on the slate. K McD, what's up, dude? What's up, Kyle? What about May? Against San Francisco? 7,300. Yeah, the thing about May is we got a great start out of him. Who did he face last time? Was it the White Sox? Did he mowed down? Yeah, the White Sox. Mowed down the White Sox, had 9 Ks. To me, that's an exception to the rule, and it's more anomalous than anything else. Like Dustin May on the season is a 21.8% strikeout pitcher, which is fine, but he has a near 10% walk rate, and he's just been okay. So if you're getting there, you're doing it just because he's getting zero ownership, but I could say the same about so many guys. Like, check this out. You have three guys at 30+% ownership. And I'm telling you right now, I agree with this ownership. You don't always need to get different to get weird. Try and be smarter than everybody else on it just because it's a big slate. Now, if you want to, go for it. You don't have to. Because there's other factors at play here, like Chase Burns' price point, like the fact that Scooble's the best pitcher on earth. Like Joe Ryan, I'll say his price point and matchup, and the fact that he's been flat out dominant at home with a 34% K rate against the dismal Pittsburgh offense. Skeens at 19. He's on an island there in that ownership range. No one else is above or below him anywhere close. Scherzer at 11, McCullers at 10. I agree with that. And then you fall off a cliff down to, look at this, all of these guys, which is why Joe Boyle surely looks interesting at 5%. Positively leveraged. To me, him and Burns are the best value plays. They both have top 2 pitcher probabilities, except the difference is Joe Boyle's ownership is what? I'm not even going to say it's eighth, but that doesn't matter because it's nowhere close to these other guys. So Boyle looks good. Someone asked about Jack Leiter. I'm good there. You know I like that kid, and I think eventually he's going to be pretty good. But I'll pass on this spot. Again, I don't really think it's necessary. There are so many spots that on other slates we would have to play. Dustin May, absolutely we'd be getting to some of Dustin May. We'd be getting to some Dean Kramer. Probably in other slates getting to some Ranger Suarez. Definitely getting to some Logan Webb. You know? But today I'm not sure it's necessary. I don't think it is. Let's pull up our exposures here and see what we've got. See if we got any more comments from our friends in chat here. Einsteinium, Cabrera versus Baltimore. If he was a lefty, if Edward Cabrera was a lefty, I'd have plenty of interest there. Baltimore at home against righties. It's a different baseball team. Yeah, they strike out at 23%, which is, I think, like top 5. But aside from that, they're top 5 in WOBA. They're top 7 in WRC plus. They are 3rd in ISO. Like, this team hits righties well. You'd think it's the other way around. You'd think you think they'd be able to hit both. But no, I don't love this spot for Edward Cabrera. I definitely like that Edward Cabrera has turned things around since the beginning of the season, but probably a pass for me on Cabrera there. Troy, flashback. The Stokastic article today has Suarez listed as their secondary pitcher target. Yeah, go for it. I'm not sure who wrote it. I suppose you're talking about EMAC. We love EMAC. I recommend you check that article out whenever you can. I just, you can have different opinions. Personally, I don't like Suarez as much as some other options on this slate. I told you why. But maybe, and I'm assuming it's EMAC, maybe EMAC has some reasons to counter me on that. And I'd be more than open to listening. All right, let's see what our pitcher exposures look like. Oh, hold on. Who do we got? Chase Burns, Joe Ryan, Tarek Skubal, Joe Boyle are our 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm hardly surprised by that. Where does Chase Burns project fantasy points wise? I bet he's top 4. He is. See? Top 4. Despite being nowhere near the top in salary. It's hard to avoid that. Skubal number 1, Skubal 1, Ryan 2, Skeens 3, Burns 4, Boyle. Yeah, Joe Ryan 2, Joe Boyle 5. All right. I think the trickiest one is a guy like Scherzer and McCullers. Lance McCullers is interesting, if at the very least, just because he has good strikeout stuff when things are going well for him. Einsteinium, that's a great point. He says, I wouldn't be shocked if we also got to Boston against Boyle. That's a good point, especially knowing that we're getting 17% Boyle. We're not getting 70% Boyle, you know? But no, we're just not getting to a lot of these other guys. Tiny bit of Nelson, Holmes, Leiter, Cabrera, 7% Skeen, 7 Scherzer, 10, almost 11% McCullers. So it makes sense. Anyway, let's take a look at our stacks. And a reminder for you guys, any of you who are active MLB subs, if you weren't here yesterday, I think you will appreciate this very much so. Anyone who's an active MLB sub, remember the All-Star break comes up on Monday, right? And it's Monday through Thursday. It returns on Friday. We decided, hey, you guys have been amazing, whether it's, you know, supporters of the channel here on YouTube, supporters over at Stokastic, been subs for a long time, or even if you just subbed for your first time with our 4th of July sale or used the promo code or signed up with any of our sportsbook partners, none of that matters. What matters is that we don't want you having an MLB sub and feeling like, hey, what's the deal with this? There's no baseball from Monday through Thursday. That's not fair. So we decided to give you all access sims all the way through the end of next week. So you're going to get every day of PGA, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all of the main, but also all the showdowns. You're going to get MMA sims for free. This is all access sims. You're going to get NASCAR for free as well. So for any of you thinking, hey, what's up with this? I have an MLB sub, but there's no MLB. Well, now you've got all of this throughout the week. Even though MLB returns on Friday, we're keeping your access and you don't have to do anything. We're just opening it up for you. We're going to keep your access, all access sims, open all the way through Sunday. So you can you can enjoy every single sport with the sims, be able to sweat them, even if you know nothing about these sports. So hopefully you guys take advantage of that. I think you're going to love it. And then baseball's back on Friday, but that's our way of saying, hey, look, listen, we get that we can't control the All-Star break, but we can control what we do with you guys who are on subs. And that's the way to do it. I think that makes the most sense for everybody. And of course, if you don't have a sub yet, you can either DM me at Laffy_D. I just answered 2 of them today. And I'll hit you up with a great code to get a week or a month of MLB sims. Just tell me, hey, I watched the show, Laffy. Can I get that code? Or the easiest way, that first, see that link in the description, click more, expand that description, where it says join any sportsbook, gets the Stokastic sims free. You click that link and just click claim offer on any of these sportsbooks or on any of these pick'em sites. That's all you have to do. And then after that, sign up with that link, deposit. It's usually a $5 or $10 deposit. That's it. Plus you're getting bonus bets in return, or you're getting your deposit matched. So it's all coming back one way or another, if not more. After you place your first bet or set your first lineup in these DFS pick'em sites, simply take a screenshot of your welcome email, your first settled bet, and then email Ron at support@stokastic.com with your screenshots and tell us what you want. That's it. You get a free month of sims, and you can stack as many months as you possibly can. So if there's 6 of these that you aren't on and you're like, hey, I got $40 laying around that can get me 6 free months, a half a year to free roll MLB sims, or any sims you want, because you can pick and mix and match. This is the way to do it. So use that link down there. If you ever have questions, hit me up. So many different ways to jump in. And of course, if you have MLB throughout the All-Star break, you're getting the entire week of all access. All right, let's talk about some stacks here and see what we are getting to. Who is our highest exposed stack? Toronto against Luis Severino. No surprise whatsoever there. No shock, no surprise. Toronto against Severino. That's probably the way it should be. This park plays so hitter friendly. Yesterday, we didn't get exactly what we were looking for. I think you had like 10 total runs, but also Strider was on the mound. Today, you have an 11-run total. I'm telling you, this park is played like Coors Field this year. 11-run total. The Blue Jays are minus 171 favorites. It's crazy. And you're not even paying a massive premium on these Toronto bats either. Right? Like if you go into our exposures to everybody and you just wanted to filter, hold on, team contains, or no, lineup contains. Whoop. Or go to filter. All right, so here's our Toronto exposure. Look at these price points. These are just wrong. 37, 35, 24. And I'm not saying any of these guys are Willie Mays, but like 55 and 53 here, those are your only expensive guys. Bo Bichette's 4,800, but none of them are crazy expensive at all. This is an extraordinarily easy team to stack today. So that's why you're going to see a lot of Toronto. It's not just that they have a high implied total. They're super easy to stack as well. Who else? Milwaukee. Okay. I against Mitchell Parker. Seems reasonable enough to me. Cincinnati getting a decent amount of them against Herman Marquez. They have a very nice implied total today. I believe it's sitting at like 5.4. Nope, 5.9. Yankees against Flexen. Are we getting any Yankees? Not really. A little bit. Maybe 5%. Cleveland, Tampa Bay. Let's go in the lineups and see our full stack exposure, 3, 4, and 5s. Because we already know we're getting a ton of Toronto. Rightfully so. 39%. 19% Milwaukee. 19% Cincinnati. 11% Cleveland. 9% Miami. So a lot of it's going to Toronto right now. If you wanted to tamp that down a little bit, I can show you what it would look like. Let's say, all right, we want to cap them at 20% exposure. Set this. The Sims will reset everything. You don't have to unfavorite and refavorite everything. Go in the stack exposures. And now you got more Milwaukee. You end up getting more Milwaukee. Oh, you actually get more Cincinnati too. We're north of 20% on Cincinnati now. So yeah, that's what it would look like. Let me go ahead and clear those stack exposures and see what our individual exposures look like before we get out of here. A lot you can do with these Sims tools too. I would recommend you don't go overboard and you don't make so many adjustments to where you're essentially overriding what the Sims does. Because it's just, then you're screwed. But as long as you're making the type of adjustments that aren't really hurting what you're doing, you're going to be in good shape. Outfield. Nathan Lukes, TJ Friedel, George Springer, Jackson Chourio. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 of our top 6 outfielders are Toronto. Ernie Clement, Ellie De La Cruz, Bo Bichette, Bobby Witt. So Toronto, Cincy, Toronto, Kansas City. Will Wagner. Like there's another Toronto bat. Addison Barger, another Toronto bat. These guys aren't going to excite you, but their price points are in a spot where with the total that high, you're projecting more plate appearances than normal for the guys at the back of the order. Dirt cheap. Likely opportunities with runners in scoring position, at least runners on base. They're just going to look good. Xavier Edwards from Miami. Look at that. He's our highest owned second baseman. We're really spread out here. First base, Wagner, Vladdy at 5,500, 23% him. Andrew Vaughn against Washington. Okay. Some of these guys are really cheap too. And it's not even like we're getting that much scuba. What do we have? Like 24, 25%? William Contreras is 30%. So there you have it. Those are our guys. That is our exposure. And for pitcher, if you jumped in late, Burns, Ryan, Skubal, Boyle, and McCullers, we broke pitching down as much as we possibly could today. I don't think we could break it down anymore unless we went for hours, and nobody's trying to be here for hours, understandably. Neither am I. But I appreciate you guys hanging out as always. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Enjoy the All-Star break, fellas. I won't see you for a little bit. Enjoy the All-Star break. Take some time to do other stuff, whatever it may be. But in the meantime, like I said, you'll have access to all of our tools for every other sport if you are a Sims MLB user. Whether you're a weekly user and your subscription is live throughout that or monthly, doesn't matter. You'll have all access to everything, not just through the All-Star break, but through Sunday following the All-Star break as well. So we just want to, we want to do something for everybody who, if I were, I'd be like, well, this sucks. Not that it's our fault. It's just the way the season is. But now it won't suck. Now it'll be awesome. You get to play sports maybe you haven't played before with The Sims. Massive prize pools for those as well. So anyway, have a great day, guys. I'll see you back here for the next one following the All-Star break 1 week from now. Hit me up on Twitter at Lafayette_D. Say hi. We can chat throughout the break. And if you wanted to get a week or month of The Sims, DM me or use that link down there. However you want to do it. We'll see you over there. Jump in the Discord and have a good weekend, guys. Love you all. We'll see you back here for the next one. Bye-bye.